there's a lot, not just tension in the, like, I'm tense, but tension in, you might go home for Christmas or for summer or whatever, and there's tons of stuff going on with your family, and you return to this place, and it's trying to reconcile how can I live here like this. Shouldn't I be home with my family doing blank? You go on a LoveWorks trip, you go on a YouthWorks trip, and you see some realities in some other places, and you wonder with how do I reconcile? You start to read the Gospels. You as a Christian, you start to try to reconcile what Jesus is talking about with how you live your life. And one of the reasons Brian Longmore is such an incredible person is because he's fully engaged in that tension wrestling. There's a lot of different ways to address tensions like this, and he is someone who is not looking for easy answers and is not looking for quick resolutions, but is someone who's trying to reconcile some of the tensions in his own life. So he's going to speak about some of those tonight. Would you please welcome Brian Longmore?
Everybody pray for me? Pray with me. Fools. Father, thank you so much for this opportunity to just gather here as a school, as a family of believers, God. I ask that you just use my words tonight to your glory somehow, as modest as they can be, God. Thank you so much. In your name, amen. So, a little about me. I've been a Christian for 4 years now, about 4 years. Before that, it was a totally different life, but if anybody wants to find anything out, just ask me sometime. So I'm not going to really go into my testimony tonight. But what I will go into is this homeless outreach. About a year and a half ago now, I just started going out on the streets with a Flood Love group at the Flood Church. And I found out when I was going to Point Loma that I also wanted to do the same here. So I asked a couple people last year and a half ago now, and I was like, hey, let's start something. And it started with about 2 or 4 people. Justin Reeves was at the beginning, and it just grew and grew and grew. And it's not so much just going out there and giving them food. We really want to concentrate on relationship above anything else. And that's been our goal, and through that we've seen amazing things happen. But I've also seen horrible things happen out there, things that I never could have imagined in a different world to happen, but I guess they're in the same world. So I was reading a book the other day, and something really caught me. This guy, Jonathan Wilson Hartgrove, he's an author and teacher over at Duke, and he's been living in a commune outside Duke in a predominantly African-American neighborhood. But when he was going to school at Eastern University in Philadelphia, he was doing a homeless outreach, and he could not stand this tension that was going on. He wrote, it was somewhere between the ideas of the great books and the reality of the streets. And really, that's where the tension comes in my life. Right now, just seeing the reality of the streets and then coming back to this place. And I'm sure we all see it. I mean, we come back here and this place is, you want to call it blessed, but it's almost sickening to do it. It's almost a perversion of the city on the hill in many ways. But, so I'm going to read a couple scriptures that I kind of see fitting into this, but maybe you don't, I don't know. So, first one comes from Proverbs 4. And it says, get wisdom, get insight. Do not forget nor turn away from the words of my mouth. Do not forsake her, and she will keep you. Love her, and she will guard you. The beginning of wisdom is this, get wisdom. And whatever else you get insight. Prize her highly, and she will exalt you. She will honor you if you embrace her. She will place on your head a fair garland. She will bestow on you a beautiful crown. So basically with that, I'm looking at what we can gain here at Point Loma. What is it? What can we get out of this? And I really think that comes later. So I'm going to switch over now to Romans 12 and to a little part of that. And it says, let love be genuine. Hate what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with mutual affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not lag in zeal. Be adherent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in suffering. Persevere in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints. Extend hospitality to strangers. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Do not claim to be wiser than you are. So I kind of feel this absolute dichotomy between these two, because here I am at this totally just awesome view. We all know that. Awesome everything university. But here I am going out on the streets, and I know we feel it, and we can feel it in many ways. But I'm going to tell a couple stories about the streets to kind of make this a little more contextualized. First of all, last year, it was about a year ago, I went out on the streets, and I had it. There's nights when I'm out there, and I just don't want to be there, honestly. And there's no real reason for me to be there, I feel. And I was talking to somebody that was really comfortable for me to talk to in the corner. And then all of a sudden, Justin comes over to me and says, "Hey, could you take this guy to his sister's house?" I was like, no, why? And then I went back into my comfortable conversation with the guy I'd known for a while out there. And all of a sudden, something hit me, and it was absolute guilt that was overwhelming. And so I said, all right, I guess I will. I turn around, and I see who this is, and it's this guy with this bloated belly. He's probably in his 60s with a hospital gown on. He got in a car. It took about 5 minutes to get in the car because he was in so much pain. And my friend Rachel and I both decided to take him out to his sister's house in El Cajon. And on the way, we got to know this guy. His name is Wolf, and he's Native American, and he had some awesome stories. Stories that I couldn't imagine. And he talked about raising wolves when he was younger, and that's where his name came from. But his I can't even remember what he said his real name was, but he went by Wolf. And so the next couple of weeks, I got to know him because he ended up back on the streets, but I could tell he was deteriorating. One look at him, and you knew that he had liver disease. He had drank. He had done a lot of things he shouldn't, but let's say that's life. And in this, he came out, it was about 3 or 4 weeks later, and every time that I was out there, and other times I went out there to see him, I would sit there and talk with him. And we got to know each other really, really well. He allowed me to pray for him. He said that he believed in spiritual, Native American spiritualism, but I was cool with that. And he said, well, yeah. But he said, yeah, pray for me. And so I prayed, and he reacted really well to it, and that was cool. But then there was the next week, and I came out there, and he ended up in a place we call Crack Alley. And he didn't look good, and he was on his last leg, and I knew that. And I sat there with him with a couple other people for about an hour and a half while there was a crack pipe sitting right next to us, and he wanted to smoke it because he was in so much pain, and he didn't have medical insurance to pay for any painkillers. So what happened was, he didn't want to do it, but there was 2 crack dealers standing right there, forcing him, basically saying, yeah, smoke this so we can sell you another rock. So there we go, and they're threatening us, but I'm sick of it. I'm just sitting there. I'm not going to go anywhere. And eventually he said, can I smoke this? I go, that's your choice. And honestly, he's in enough pain. I'm not going to blame the guy. I left that night feeling, this sucks. This is horrible. I mean, what else can you feel? And exactly. Came back next week and he was gone. And never saw him again. But, I mean, that's really life out there. And, I mean, it happens more than we can imagine. I still think about him all the time. And I see other people. I even met a guy tonight named Manuel out there, and he reminded me so much of him. And so, I mean, it's life.